They just don't make them like this anymore. Call them slobs, call them jerks, call them gross. Just don't call them when you're in trouble. Made in a time where slightly offensive was just fun, and it spawned so many pop culture references on Just Great Movies. It's Police Academy. I think I've just been talking to myself, but there's nothing new there. Hello, welcome along to Just Great Movies. This is Trev Retro. 1984 is the destination. Police Academy is the movie of choice, and it's a great movie too. One of my all-time favourites. It's one of those, I don't know, feel-good cheeky movies. Had a budget of $4.8 million. And it made $149.8 million back at the box office. Starring, of course, Steve Guttenberg. We remember him, don't we? Mahoney, who got fed up with the franchise after 4 films and decided to go and do something else. And he went and did Cocoon and 3 Men and a Little Lady and all that malarkey. Kim Cattrall's in this too. Also, that bloke who makes all the noises with his mouth. Yeah, Michael Winslow. It's a cracking film. Also, Leslie Easterbrook. We'll talk about her a little bit later on. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Who have we got in there right now? Brian's in there, of course, first tonight. Gav says he's first. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree. This is a cracking film. I love this one. So, without any further ado, movie starts off with the premise here. New lady mayor, so it's already having a dig at politicians. So on March 4th of this year, newly elected Mayor Mary Sue Beale announced that she was changing the hiring practices of the city's police force. No longer would height, weight, sex, education, or physical strength be used to keep new recruits out of the Metropolitan Police Academy. Hundreds of people who were never dreamed of becoming a police officer signed up immediately. Naturally, the police completely freaked out. Hello to Dutch Gradient joining us in chat as well. Police Academy, cracking movie. And we start off with Tackleberry, played by David Graff. He later went on to be in an episode of Voyager, the 49ers. But Tackleberry, as we get to know, I mean, if you know the franchise, you know what he's like. He's like a bit of a vigilante, a bit of a Dirty Harry type of guy. And he's just a security guard in an office building. And this guy comes out of his office and he's like, please, Tackleberry, can I go? And he's like, 10-4. See some lights under a door. And he gets all suspicious about it. And, Tackleberry being Tackleberry, doesn't think, shoot first, ask questions later. And switches the light on. Good luck, Tackleberry. Oh dear. And he's just totally, completely killed 2 coffee machines and they're all sat there with cake on their faces. Absolutely love this film. Oh, you guys. And then we introduced to Kerry Mahoney. And he's like a car park attendant, basically. And, oh, look, it's that guy there. He was the voice of, Judy Hopps' dad in Zootopia. I forgot his name, Don something another, but he plays the atypical arsehole. Tackleberry's what real cops call a squirrel. Really? I didn't know that, Dutch Gradient. You've taught me something new there. What's that all about then? Please do expand on that, won't you? So he's like, park my car, won't you? And Mahoney's like, hey, what's that on your head? It's a wig. Wig! Wig! And the car park owner turns up and he's like, park the car, clean his ashtray out and apologise to him. Yeah. So this guy's a total jerk. You could tell that. So Mahoney squeals off in his Trans Am. Smokey and the Bandit type of Trans Am, not a kit Trans Am. Hello to Flav, who's just joined us in the chat. Welcome along to Just Great Movies. And if you're watching this on the re-rub, please do comment below. Is this your favourite Police Academy movie out of the entire franchise? Oh, look, Mahoney's doing some skiing. If you know what skiing is, we could be friends. And I just love this. They must have done the stunt, actually propped it up sideways, you know? and dragged it along on the back of a cart like they normally do, while the real stunt guy does all the hard work. So this guy totally freaks out, and he dumps it between two cars. Yeah, it fits now. Love it. Oh dear, that just says it all. So I think Mahoney's fired. Now this is Leslie Barbara. He's got a Chrysler. It's as big as a whale. Kodak film. Whatever happened to that? Remember that? When you used to go on holiday, you always made sure you had loads of Kodak film. Those were the days, I tell you. So anyway, these guys turn up and they're constantly bullying Leslie. And he's one of those types. He's all right until he's pushed. And then he gets to a point and he kind of snaps and he loses his shit. Well, these guys just baiting him all the time, trying to tap into that rage he's got. And they stick him on the truck and then take him to the river. And just look at that. He's the comedic foil in this. It's all slapstick and it's all good fun. That's what I like about this film. Even though it's an R-rated, which is an 18 here in the UK, it's still a cracking film. And I remember watching this first time, I think it was on ITV, heavily edited, of course. So they dumped Leslie. Surely at that point, he would have tipped out of the lens area. So they just dump him in a river. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to be in for it now. It's no secret. I've signed up for the police academy." Meanwhile, at the local police precinct, Mahoney's been processed. Obviously, for the stunt he pulled in the car park. He's going to get in trouble for it. And he sits down next to this guy. And he's like, "What are you in for?" And he gets onto his little microphone and he pretends to be a machine gun. Everybody dives for the floor. And here's this guy on the phone. "God damn it, will you stop that?" And he's like, "No, I weren't talking to you," with the person at the other end of the phone. And look at that guy in the blue t-shirt. He's laughing about it. And everybody's drawn on him. Look, crikey. 4 guns on him. And Mahoney just thinks that's just so good. And I thought it was great too. Michael Winslow, he's just such a great voice. Hello to Ben3239 in the chat, MC as well. Garbage Who AI, welcome to the show. Don't forget, say something cool. I'll stick it up on the screen. And he's just blown away by this. Mahoney is just such a likable character. And that's one of the reasons he was cast for this. He walked in the room and within about 30 seconds into his audition, the producers of the film knew he was going to be Mahoney, which is great in a way. There's some interesting stories about the casting. And this is Captain Reed, who knew Mahoney's dad. So he's kind of watched over him a little bit. And he says, "I'm going to stick you in the police academy program." Now, this is Fackler. He's one of those accident-prone kind of guys where he doesn't injure himself, but he injures everybody else around him. Now, his wife's trying to talk him out of going to the police academy. She later pops up in Police Academy 3, where she becomes an actual recruit at the police academy. And she's a great character, real spitfire kind, And Fackler hits her in the groin. Why she goes down like a sack of potatoes is beyond me. She's not got the meat and 2 veg, nothing worse. And then when he gets in his car, he hits her in the head with a car. Love it. And he just sets off willy-nilly and about crashes into that car there. And then there's this great bit where she chases after him. Obviously, it's not her, because if you go back, look, that woman there looks a bit like Kathy Griffin, and she's jumping in pools and everything. And she catches up with Fackler, jumps on his bonnet, and it's like, "You don't go anywhere, you get out of this car, you turn around straight away." And he's like, "Yeah, chuff you." And he drives off anyway. And are you ready, boys? Get ready. Kim Cattrall, after Lassie. See, there is life after Lassie. She was Lassie in Porky's, of course. And this is well before Mannequin. And she plays Thompson. She's a bit of a, how can I put it? Rich girl. They emulated the character in Police Academy. It was 3. They had a posh guy, but he didn't really fit in, and he wasn't quite as charming as what Kim Cattrall's character is. But anyway, that's another film for another time. And if you look there, there's Fackler and his wife still on the car bonnet, and Kim Cattrall's like, "Huh? What? Huh?" So anyway, we turn up at the police academy. This is interesting. They don't actually specify where the police academy is, right? But this was all filmed in Toronto, Canada. It's a nice, I'm quite interested to know. Does anybody know where this is? Obviously, it's not a real police academy. I'm guessing it must be like some kind of school or something. And all kinds of characters turn up. You get a hippie turning up and a bunch of regular people, regular Joes, basically. That guy in the white shirt there, he looks like a... Oh, sorry, I probably still wasn't going to do any voices this week because my voices are cringe, you know. He looks a bit like a Peter Griffin, doesn't he? So I don't want to do it with the voice. And I thought that couple there, I thought that was like a pimp with one of his girls. But I think it might be a woman. I just don't want to misgender that person in particular. But this is Copeland and Blanks. Now, these are your token douchebags. And they're a constant pain in the arse all the way through the series. Thank you, MC. He says, I like the voices. Me too. But I'm not going to do any this week. And Blanks goes up and goes, I'm Carl Blanks, sir. This is Commissioner Hurst. And he's like, I don't give a crap. Get out the way. Yes, sir. Tackleberry. I think he's one of these types, right? He's tried to get in the army several times, but he just can't pull it off. I think he's a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I think it might be because he's a bit unbalanced. Speaking of unbalanced, Flavius says, the main academy was shot at the former Lakeshore Psychiatric Hospital in Etobicoke, now known as Humber College Lakeshore Campus. That is a great factoid there, Flav. Really appreciate that. Thank you for looking it up. Obviously, that's in the Toronto area. If you're watching, by the way, and you're new here, if you feel like subscribing and liking the video, you can do that here. You can also give me a follow over on Rumble as well. That'd be great. Tackleberry's like, yeah, I think I'm going to like it here. And he will do. So Mahoney turns up and he's got Jonesy with him. One in the oven. That is, yeah, there we go. And interesting enough, Mahoney turns on Jones's beatbox. And it plays out Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax. Some interesting songs on the soundtrack. Jack Mack and the Heart Attack did quite a few of the songs. There's also a song called El Bimbo by Paul Muriat. We might play a bit of that a little bit later on. And this is Jorge Martin. It was really George Martin. He basically pretends to be Hispanic to get the ladies. And it looks like he had a five-way there, you jammy git. I wish. Very popular with the ladies. I would pretend to be Spanish or something like that. But it means be doing a voice. And I don't want to cringe anybody out, you see. And Mahoney's like, do you know all those women? Yeah, sure, they're all my oh, bugger. He says, yeah, sure, they're all my girlfriends. He says, I think you're an interesting person, George. Fackler turns up and his missus is still on the bonnet. She goes flying off and he just hasn't got a care in the world. Now this is Chief Hurst. And he doesn't like that. And he's like, oh, look at that. I remember when we had the right people, the right height, right weight, right colour. So typical institutionalised mindset there. And then this is Commandant Lassard, played by George Gaines. And Chief Hurst says, I remember when all you could see were Johnsons. And he's like, Johnsons? And I remember those T-shirts from the 80s with Big Johnson on it. I guess Johnson is American slang for, a Todge. MC says in the chat, let it flow, Trev. I can't. I'm cringe. Terribly cringe. And they start looking through some of these people that have signed up to Police Academy, and these guys can't believe it. Some of them are crims. G.W. Bailey as Lieutenant Harris. Now, G.W. Bailey was in a ton of films during the 80s, and he was that token bloke who was always a bit of a douche nozzle, and he just constantly go, asshole. Oh, crap, I did a voice. Sorry if that was cringe. Moving swiftly on. So they come up with a bit of a plan here to start weeding people out a little bit earlier. And Harris is all up for that because he's a bit of a knob too. And they all start laughing about it, and Lassard's laughing away. And as soon as everybody goes out the room, his face just drops like, I don't care. I'm not in for that. So here's a sample of the new recruits. And, they're all typical. Now, this is Chad Copeland. And he comes out with a bit of a racial slur. There's too many of a particular type of person. And there's Hightower, played by Bubba Smith. And Copeland's like, yeah, which I think is a good thing. Now, if you look there, right, he's wearing a wig. Because they accidentally filmed the barbershop scene before this. So him and the guy who plays Kyle Blanks, they're both wearing wigs, and apparently they were really uncomfortable. But that's not on them, really. That's on somebody else. So this is Scott Thompson, who played Chad Copeland. Brant von Hoffman plays Kyle Blanks. But we'll catch up with these guys later. Marion Ramsey is Hooks. She's got a Mickey Mouse voice. She kind of admitted in the 2004 DVD that she based the voice on Michael Jackson. And I could totally see that now. And according to Bubba Smith, in real life, Marion Ramsey was very loud. You heard her coming before you saw her. Unfortunately, Marion passed away a few years ago after a short illness. So that's quite unfortunate. So Mahoney says to George, he says, I'm going to get out of here already. Now, Barbara turns up and his dog gets out of the car. More on that in just a second. And Mahoney, straight in, is like, what's your name, cadet? And she starts giving him all her information. And he gets a phone number and everything. And then Harris turns up, taking quite a shine to Mahoney. Barbara's trying to, reassure his mum that he's going to get his dog back. Hey, did you notice? Let me just go back out a second. I did a Blue Oyster bar, on the logo for Just Great Movies. Hopefully I've not offended anybody. You know me, I like to offend people. Hello to everybody in the chat and everybody watching wherever you may be. Get involved. Get in the chat. Let me know what you think about Police Academy. And this guy's walking up and down, pacing and going through his list of people. And Jones is behind him, is like going, making it sound like he's walking on leaves. And he's looking at everybody, trying to figure out who it is. Interestingly enough, there's only two members of the main cast there. You got the guy who plays Fackler, and his name is Bruce Marler, who plays Doug Fackler. Obviously, he's next to Michael Winslow. Interesting fact about Leslie Easterbrook coming up soon as well. And there she is, in the Respect My Authority glasses. Garbage Away says not offended yet. Well, there's room yet, there's plenty of time. Loads of slides to get through, over 700 tonight, I like to go easy. This is why Brian likes doing the slides. He can get stuff down to about 185. When I do them, it's 700 plus. Yeah, Leslie Easterbrook there, she plays Sergeant Debbie Callahan in this, right? In Nottingham, there is the Leslie Easterbrook Auditorium. She has a theatre named after her. How cool's that? Nottingham's not too far away, really, about 20, 25 mile away from where I am. MC says in the chat, I absolutely love Police Academy when I first saw it. I've been wanting to rewatch for a long time. It is really great, and it was a good excuse for me to get the DVDs out and have a good watch along. So far, I've watched Police Academy 2, Police Academy 3. I just started on Police Academy 4 a little bit earlier on, but I had to bow out because I only watched the first 4 Police Academy films. They're the only 4 that have Steve Guttenberg in them. And there's George Gaines as Commandant Lassard, and he's like, many, many wonderful people. Oh, he's one of those. Oh, crap, I did a voice. Sorry. And they're all listening intently. And he's a sweet old guy. And Harris has to prompt him and tell him that this whole course lasts 14 weeks. Lieutenant Harris, Thaddeus Harris. And he's a nasty piece of work. But G.W. Bailey, who plays him, said he's misunderstood. He's a nice guy, really. He's just trying to do the right thing. He just comes across wrong. Anyway, Barbara's dog finds Commandant Lassard's leg. And Barbara comes up and he's like, Princess, princess, more like a prince to me. And they're all laughing in the crowd there. But I noticed Harris grabs the dog by the balls, pretty much. Oh, he's got dog cock in his hand. Pervert. So anyway, this is the bit where these two, Harris says, do something about that hair, won't you? They've already had the hair cut, right? They've already filmed the barbershop scene. So you've got Copeland, Blanks, and George Martin. And he tells them to go and get a haircut. So Copeland and Blanks like, we're going to go first. We're more important than you. And he says, take it all off. So yeah, shaves all the hair off. So they filmed this before the scenes we've just seen. So therefore they were wearing wigs. Meanwhile, Mahoney's sent Barbara to the Commandant's house. And he walks upstairs and there's Commandant Lassard's wife. She's just about to scream, but no, he screams instead. And she's like, what the Meanwhile, these guys are still getting the hair shaved off. MC says in the chat, I went to the cinema to see Police Academy 4, but I went with a girlfriend and didn't see much of the film. Did you make her feel like a bowling ball by any chance? Dutch Gradient, hello, mate. He says, Drew Sturzen, great artist. I love his work. Sadly, he's no longer with us now. He painted the poster for this movie and worked an amazingly gorgeous woman into the group, but she doesn't exist anywhere. Just a perfect figment of his imagination. I have got the movie poster downloaded, but bit too much fannying about trying to get it out. Are you sure the woman, if she's on the front row and she's holding like a cane or oh crikey, that whip thing, what Harris has, then I think you might find that's Kim Cattrall's character. I'll have to have a look. MC says yes, Drew Sturzan is amazing, brilliant. I'm gonna have to get that book. Apparently there's a book with all his artwork in it. And George, he goes and says, just a little left the sides. And Blanks and, did a voice, sorry. Blanks and Copeland go, you can do that? Yeah, it's not the army, you know. So they've had their haircut really short. They've had the military buzz cuts for nothing. So anyway, they're all getting, they're all sent to the dorm rooms. And Mahoney's just trying to get noticed so he can garner a bit of a reputation. And Mahoney gets shacked up with Tackleberry. And he's like, thanks for sticking me with a complete nutcase. Oh, MC says, I have the book. Well worth it. Oh, crikey. I'm well gel, mate. I'm going to have to get hold of that. So George has ended up being put in a room with Fackler. And he goes, oh, you're married, are you? He says, that's wonderful. I think it's a great institution. So, do you and the wife do it doggy style? This film is actually R-rated, which would have been an 18 over here. And I think it's the only one. Actually, no, I think a couple of them are in the R-rated or there or thereabouts. Because there's quite a bit of language in these films. And Tackleberry, he's like got guns and knives and all kinds of stuff. And Mahoney's like looking at him like, yeah, you're a nutter. And look, you could tell they're having a bit of a dig at patriotism there because Tackleberry's got a US flag there. And these two here, Harris is like, good haircuts, man. Fine haircuts. So he wants them to be his little snitches and informants. So he's basically going to be, what's the word? He wants them to snitch on everybody else. Just be little douches. And he goes, hi, sir, I'm Chad Copeland. He goes, good for you. Fackler, he goes to shake Mahoney's hand and knocks Jones straight out the door. And then he hits the floor and he's like, woo, does all these little noises. Sorry, I can't do the noises properly. It's cringe. So they all go for a bit of a run and he's made a beeline for Thompson. So basically Harris and Callahan are going to work these cadets into the ground because they're a bit stiff taskmasters. Callahan, she kind of softens up towards the end of the film and she ends up being like a part of the posse, really. And it's funny, you know, in Police Academy 2, their first assignment, right? All these cadets, what, you know, filter through into the next movie, they're all sergeants. Every one of them. And then by, you know, the third film, Leslie Easterbrook's character, Callahan, she's a lieutenant. But Harris starts going through folk here and he's like just basically laying down. He's going to put him through the paces and he's going to be a knob about it. Just look at Fackler's face. That is just gold right there. And a lot of this is like slapstick and, you know, the faces that some of these actors pull, they really are great. Some of these people in these films are really underrated. So he nominates these two as the troop leaders and makes a beeline for Mahoney, of course. Kim Cattrall looking well, very well. She would have been still quite youngish around this. This would have been a year or so after Porky's. And then Harris is here like saying, oh, well, I think we'll just go for a nice stroll through the countryside, which turns out to be a 5-mile run. Callahan just paces straight through it, and everybody's like cream crackered. Hooks is not the last. Marion Ramsey, interestingly enough, had to wear a fat suit during this film, and the producers decided they'd make her progressively thinner all the way through the series of films, but they changed their mind about it, and she had to wear the fat suit for the rest of the movies. Marion Ramsey, when she wasn't dressed up like that, she looked quite tasty back in the day. And Barbara's last, and he's like smacking his arse. He's just been whipping him with that cane thing. Donovan Scott, the last time I saw him, who plays Leslie Barber, he played a character called Captain Jack, and I think that was in season 3 of Babylon 5, where Dr. Franklin and Marcus go to Mars. So all these guys are doing sit-ups and whatnot, and Barbara can't even do any, he just rolls off. So it just basically putting them through the paces. They're all tatered, and Harris is just walking the halls and just laughing at people, having a good chuckle. And then he hears like some weird noises. And it's Jones, and he's doing all these like silly voices and stuff, and he's like pretending to play Atari. And then Harris is watching him and he's like totally bemused by it all. And as he walks off, Jonesy like goes, asshole. And it must be a thing about G.W. Bailey. He must say that a lot when he's not acting. So next day, you know, they're here to start learning about police work. And Harris just bollocks it down on this blackboard here. And how they're supposed to make heads or tails of that's beyond me. So anyway, they're all listening intently. Mahoney's just staring off into space. He's just messing about with his pencil. He hadn't even picked it up. Jones ain't looking too impressed either. And it picks on Hooks. I don't know. I can't hear you, Hooks. Sorry, I did a voice. And he says, did anybody serve in the military? And Blanks is like, yeah, I served in blah-de-blah-de-blah. Chad's like, you're full of shit. Mahoney's not impressed. And he says, anybody else? Mahoney says, yes, I did. You served? Yes, actually, not in this life, in a past life. I served previously in Her Majesty's forces in India. Interesting story, really. So he says to Jones, I've got to get her out of here. So Jones gets on his little walkie-talkie thing and he says, Cadet Mahoney, report to Commandant Lasard's office. Cadet Mahoney. Obviously, when he does all these things, he does like a doo-doo-doo on the end of everything, which is kind of cool in a way. So he sends him off. And then Jones says, Lieutenant Harris, report to the firing range. So he poddles off. So Callahan takes over the class. Mahoney goes to Commandant Lasard. And he's like, you can't come in here. He says, I need to get out of here. And he's trying to explain to him that he wants out. And he says, oh, you're a special case. You're Mahoney. He says, I promised Captain Reed that you'd be here for the full 14 weeks. And Mahoney says, I'm trapped here. And he says, yeah, we all are. So next day, they're all on this assault course, a bit like the Krypton Factor, really. Barbara's on the Fox wire. Yeah, again, he must be like a slapstick actor, because that's pretty much his role in this film. And he's good at it, to be fair. And Fackler, he can't run through these tyres, and he's a total putz. And he just starts legging everybody up. People start jumping this wall, no problem. Hawks is that tiny, she was only 5'4", bless her, Marion Ramsey. And Harris is just sat there, just belittling everybody. It's not very good, is it? You're supposed to be moralising people, not demoralising them. He tells her to walk round. And Mahoney says, I need some new tracksuit bottoms. I'd pay her to have ripped these. And he says, don't walk, run. Go and get some new jogging bottoms. And as he does that, and he's like, don't test me, boy. And he's like, move it, move it, move it. Shit, I'm deaf. And then Hightower doesn't even bother climbing the wall. He just shoves it over. And Harris is like, oh. So he goes to requisition some new pants. And he says to this guy, he says, have you got any brown boot polish? He says, who's it for? He says, Lieutenant Harris. So I love this bit. Lassard turns up in his little golf cart. Mahoney gives Harris his little loudspeaker bag. And he's shouting at people. And Mahoney's put some boot polish. And he goes to tell Commandant Lassard about, nobody's quit so far. He says, but it's early days and I'll try and get rid of some people. And Lassard just starts pissing himself laughing at him. And look at that. He looks like John Leguizamo there, doesn't he, a bit? The bloke who played Sid the Sloth. Garbage Who AI says in the chat, talking of good-looking women, Trev, have you seen the latest Calvin Klein range? Dakota Johnson wearing not very much. I have indeed. She's only wearing underpants. Well, underwear anyway. Yeah, too young for my taste though. If she was 50 odd, maybe, yeah. But he's going to get his own back now. So he's going to get Mahoney running around. And look, somebody's sneaking around to go to the women's dorms. It's George. But he's being watched by Callahan. Next day, firing range. Oh, you just don't give Fackler a gun, do you? Come on. Barbara, he's like, I don't even want to know. Tackleberry's like, really? Is this it? Is this all I'm getting? And they're all rubbish pretty much at firing. And they're missing the marks completely. Next thing, Tackleberry, he fires away, boof, blows half the bloody field away. And he's got a Magnum 44. I love it. And he says, excuse me, son, where did you get that gun? Oh, my mum bought it for me. Oh, sorry, I did a voice. Sorry for cringing you out. He takes it off him, says, could I borrow that for a while? Yeah, sure. I love it. People start washing out. And then it's self-defense class. So Callahan picks on Barbara. And yet again, he's one of those, he's all right until he's pressed and his back's against the wall. Then he kind of snaps. And he's like, I don't really want to do it. I don't want to hurt you. And then he loses his shit a little bit and then he goes for her. But she just karates him over, chucks him down on the floor, and she's got him like that. And he's got a right view there, you jammy git. And she's just basically trying to explain some self-defense facts there. And she says, who's next? And they're all like, yeah, me. They're all fighting for a position. So I think this is an exam time in the film. Mahoney is doing his in crayon. I always wanted to do that. I wish I could go back in time and do my GCSE maths in crayon. That'd be funny. So anyway, Callahan, she's just relaxing by lifting. They're them weeder weights. Do you remember those? Everybody bought some of those at one time or another, and they were just junk. Absolute rot. And George, why have one when you can have two? I mean, this film... Oh, look, a saucy bottom there. Swappers would love that. Hey, Swappers, if you're on the re-rub, don't get carried away, because you might end up re-rubbing something else. So Mahoney's just having a beer. Look at them Canadian beer bottles. 2 sups and they're gone. I mean, a normal pint for me has gone in 4 sups. But, yeah, them Canadian beer bottles. They're like them, them Belgian ones that were all the craze about 10 years ago. Everybody was taking them to barbecues. They didn't last 5 minutes. Didn't last me long anyway. But then again, I come from a big family of drinkers. So Harris has busted Mahoney here. And he takes that beer off him. Then he starts having a pair through the windows. Immediately gets busted. Now, next day, he's got him in his office. And he's trying to just, lay down a few facts round here, I'm the daddy. And he says, we'll give Captain Reed a ring and we'll get you out of this. And he's, yeah, no problem. Mahoney's all up for leaving. And then looks out the window. Thompson's there and she's showing off the thighs. And he immediately does a 180. And Harry says, don't screw with me, boy. Nobody screws with me. Mahoney says, you never know, that might change one day. You'll meet the right person. He fires his gun off straight through Lissard's office. A load of plaster coming down. So, yet again, more punishment for Mahoney, Blanks and Copeland. And he says, yeah, this might help you out. I've got some sweaty socks I've been using all day. And you can tell Mahoney's really going to get one back on him eventually. We'll see what happens, shall we? So Tackleberry just hitting himself in the guts. Old Jonesy there's having a shave, but he's doing all the sound effects. Mahoney comes in completely piss wet through. And then when anybody in the loops, Barbara always turns around. You know, he tries to do a 180. But Tackleberry says, I want you to come over here and hit me. I want you to hit me as hard as you can. So Tackleberry's expecting him to hit him in the guts. He's like, come on, hit me. And, instead of like punching him, he slaps him right across the chops. And he says, that any good? Yeah, not bad. Apparently that took 10 takes. And if you notice, his cheek's a little bit red already. So I don't know what take this is. Barbara just, walks off. Jones does some more sound effects. Harris is like, he just doesn't want these guys around. They're not proper coppers. And he says, you dismiss for the weekend, your first weekend away from the academy. And he says, they'll have a party. They always have a party. He said, I want you two to go. And I want you to ring me when anything kicks off. So they need to find out where this party is. So they victimize Barbara a little bit. And he says, you're going to have to go to Mahoney and find out where it is. So he goes and has a chat with Mahoney. And he says, I don't want to go, but, I need you to let me know where it is. And he says, yeah, sure. It's the Blue Oyster. And he gives him the address. Yeah, that's about as much as that I can play without getting a copyright strike. So Copeland and Blanks go to the Blue Oyster bar, and they walk in and quickly realise it's a gay bar. And I think at this point they're getting looked at like they're a piece of meat, so they try and turn around, and they're all blocked off. Look at that guy with the tash there. He looks like, I don't know, like Saddam Hussein's gone to a gay bar or something. But yeah, apparently this is an atypical gay bar. Hang on a minute, the bloke right at the back there, is that bloke there? And he's got that other bearded bloke with him. So yeah, he must be blocking the door. I guess that must be what a gay bar looks like. You tell me, I don't know. Meanwhile, the real party's cracking off, and Hightower tells Mahoney that he was a florist. And he said, a florist? He says, yeah, flowers and shit. Who's that bloke behind in the vest? That guy's a rock star. I mean, he's got jam jar bottoms on. But just look at that guy. That is like proper 80s sex god right there. And we get the music. There we go. Cut that off before I get another copyright strike. And they start doing some dancing to Paul Muriat's El Bimbo. And it's just great. These guys are getting chucked around and all sorts. Meanwhile, the real party continues. Tackleberry's absolutely mesmerised when he sees a pair of breasts. So Mahoney makes a beeline for Thompson. Kim Cattrall is stunning in this. She's gorgeous. I mean, she's always been hot, hasn't she? I didn't particularly like her in Sex and the City because I thought she was a bit trampy trashy, but that was the character, not her. And George gets the women to take the tops off. Obviously, I've had to well-time the photo there, so there's no breastage. Because it's like here on YouTube. Breasts up if you show anything a bit rude. So he's completely mesmerised by Cadets. And Mahoney's just laying it down that he likes Thompson. And then end of the night at the Blue Oyster bar, Blanks. I wouldn't want to say he's shitting himself, because I bet his ring is tighter than, I don't know, tighter than anything, He's got the ring retention just totally seized. Hello to Gavin Blackburn in the chat. Thank you for joining us, Gav. Dutch gradients drawing boobs in ASCII characters. Nice. Chad is like gone to sleep already. Next day, they're at the police academy, like I don't know, like a mock shooting test area. And he says, "Why didn't you two call me? What happened?" "Dancing, sir. Mainly dancing." I didn't notice if they were walking funny. Gav says, "I like that, Gav. That's the line of the show right there. Just made it in time for the bumming." Flash says, "Perfect timing." Oh dear. So, they're not exactly going to tell Harris what really kicked off. Loading shotguns up, eye tower goes out, and this guy says, "Follow me." And they're all like getting better and better, these guys. They all started off as a bit of a motley crew, but obviously they're developing the skill sets and they're getting better at being policemen, except for Barbara, because he can't handle firearms. He just fires off that shotgun and then kills that character there, who's obviously not a bad guy. And then he spins around with a gun. Everybody ducks, apart from Tackleberry, because he don't care. He's probably wearing body armor, to be fair. So he gives the gun back, and then it's Thompson's turn, and she's shooting away. Tackleberry gets his shot, and he says to the guy, "Follow me." And that guy's like, "Hang on a minute, that's my line." And then he goes off script, and he starts going a bit crazy. Harris is shouting him, and he just goes through the back of these buildings, taking everybody out. And Harris is like, "Really?" Oh. Anyway, knock, knock. It's George Martin, a.k.a. Jorge Martin. Sorry, I did a voice there. I do apologize. Every time I do a voice, I'll have to, eat a pot knacker or something as a punishment. Knocks on this door, opens it up, and it's Callahan. And he's like, "Holy shit." Sorry, I did a voice. And she's just basically laying it down. She's a bit intimidating. Apparently, when she went into the audition, she pretended to be her husband at the time, because apparently he was a very intimidating chap. So she basically emulated him to get the part of Callahan. She made these guys cack themselves. They were like cowering behind the desk. And she wants it. She's wanting it ever so badly. And George can't believe his luck. She's turned the tables round on him. I mean, this is quite ahead of its time, really. 1984, and they're doing stuff like this. They're even tackling racism and all sorts. There's all kinds of little, nods to things about just being right, And George poddles off, but he's like limping. So Harris decides to do a bit of like voice training, authority and stuff like that, so he gets hooks up. Oh, George, he's besotted by Callahan at this point. And he says, "I'm the bad guy. I'm pinching a TV. What do you say, Hooks?" And she's like, "Stick him up." And Harris is like, "Really?" Tackleberry's there, very frustrated. He's like, "Oh, I know what to say." And he says, "You come up and do it, Tackleberry." And he's like, "Put the TV set down before I blow your nuts off." And Harris is like, "I think we really need to talk." Speaking of talking, Jorge, or George Martin, or Martin, whichever way you want to call him, has a chat with Mahoney, and he's like totally besotted by Callahan. But his accent starts slipping, and then he reveals to Mahoney that, he's from Ohio or something. Meanwhile, Barbara's pretending to have a dump while reading a magazine, and Blanks and Copeland turn up and start threatening him. So they're going to get their own back on Barbara. And they bring in, and she's only labelled on IMDb as Hooker, Georgina Spelvin, apparently. She later reprises the character in 3. Yeah, in Police Academy 3. So Blanks and Copeland bring in the Hooker. Meanwhile, they keep giving a bit of a nod to Hightower and how strong and burly he is. And he pulls this climbing rope straight out the ceiling. He says, "Yeah, you go and sit down." So Barbara goes back to probably get a flannel because he's got a dab on just thinking about doing anything. And our Hooker's there, and she's like, "Have you got a light?" He says, "No, I don't smoke, but I've got a friend who does." So he goes straight to Mahoney, and he's just like, well impressed with this. And she's laid there with the goods showing. Is that what hookers do? I wouldn't know. And she's got a rollie. I wonder if it's a doob. But anyway, they're going to be doing a bit of an inspection. So Callahan and Harris got the white gloves on, checking for dust. And Mahoney gets the hooker out. And meanwhile, Commandant Lassard's showing some VIPs around from other police forces how they do their training. And Mahoney says, I always wanted to do it in a podium. And she's like, yeah, all right then. So anyway, as he's just about to do one, Lassard comes in with his VIPs. This is one of the greatest bits in cinema, right? And if you think otherwise, you need to get a sense of humour for your birthday or for Christmas, maybe even for Easter. That's on you. And this is great. And his zip comes down. And Hooker's going to town on Lassard. Let's turn the lights down. And as he does that, he says, you wouldn't believe what's happening. Let's have a look at the first slide. Yeah, I did a voice. I'm sorry. Mahoney's done a bad thing, yeah. Anyway, how we got through this scene without cracking up. I wonder how many takes this took. This must have just cost thousands in stock film alone. So he's trying to get through it. Mahoney looks over his shoulder, can't believe what's happening. He realizes. It was then at that moment he realized. Oh, look at that. That's where I got the screenshot for the thumbnail from. But that just says it all, really. He says, I think we ought to go and get some lunch and perhaps smoke a cigarette. So he turns around and has a look, wonders who's in the podium. Oh my God, Mahoney stuck his head out first. Nigger's great speech. Lassard's that his head's is spinning at this point, and his head's totally done in, and he crashes his cart into a bush. So he goes in. Harris is trying on Lassard's chair for size, and he comes in, and he's like, Mahoney's done a bad thing. And he can't explain to him. He can't explain to him exactly what's happened because he never live it down. And Lassard says, can I go now to Harrison? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he leaves his own office. So anyway, the cadets are progressing nicely, and we see a bit of their development. They can actually shoot a gun straight. Fackler can climb a rope now. Hooks can get over that wall. And Callahan's genuinely happy for her, and Harris is just a knob about it. And you can see the kiss asses there. Look at Eugene Tackleberry. He needs to lighten up. He looks anally retentive. So they're all going to go for a ride out with proper coppers, basically. And Harris says, Mahoney, why don't you come with me? And he makes him get out the car and run behind the car till he gets back in the city. Meanwhile, this nice, sweet old granny here, she says her pussy's stuck up in a tree. And Tackleberry's like, no problem, ma'am. You hear a bang and pussy dropping out the tree. So just look at that. Look of hate on Mahoney's face. Harris ain't too bothered. Meanwhile, Hooks has caused a bit of a traffic jam in a city centre. And Harris is shouting away, commandeers this guy's motorbike. And this is like another highlight of the movie. So Harris is just thinks he's shit up, basically. And this horse looks at this back of this trailer. He hits this car. Bong. Oh, I didn't want to be too long there. Nobody wants to see a horse's arsehole. Harris's head goes straight up its butt. Everybody passes out. And Mahoney's like, get a veterinarian. Next day, or perhaps later that day, Harris is in front of the cadets and he says, I trust you spoke to no one of this? Mahoney says, not a soul. And as he's walking through that line of people, they're all pissing themselves laughing. And then he turns around, and even Callahan's trying to keep it in. Jones is like, He puddles off. Meanwhile, in the dark of night, Mahoney sees a pair of eyes and a set of teeth. Oh, maybe not a set of teeth. He's not smiling. It's Hightower. He can't actually drive. Look at that, sleeping with one eye open. Tackleberry sleeps with a, what's that? It's like a 38, doesn't it? So he sleeps with a gun. So they nick Copeland's car. And you can tell Copeland's obviously been penned as a racist here, judging by his number plate there. He's got the Confederate flag. And he says to Hightower, why don't you just rip the seats out? That's where Schwarzenegger got the idea from in Commando. I see it now. Dutch Gradient says a revolver. Yes, it is a revolver. Well done. You don't need to go to Specsavers at all, do you? So anyway, after a while, he gets the hang of driving this car. And he runs straight into the back of this car. And this guy, he says, why didn't you stop? He says, you didn't tell me to. Which is a bit of a dumb thing to say. And this is actually the director of Police Academy. This is Hugh Wilson, who thought he'd do the part to save a bit of money. And as he's walking up to the car, he's going, you dumb bastard, I'll kill you, and all this malarkey. And he takes a look in. Hightower just gives him a look, and he just like, he cacks it, doesn't he? Turns a 180 and goes the other way. Meanwhile, Hightower's got a hang for driving, and he's doing all right, starts getting chased by the cops. Next day, he's on the training field, and he's whizzing that car around like nobody's business. He's even impressing Harris, but he won't admit it. So it's Hooks' turn, and she's just plodding along, you know, like she's just gone out shopping for the day or something. And as she comes in, she runs over Copeland's feet. He's like, what's up with you? She ran over my feet. And she gets out and says, sorry. And he comes out with a racist slur, which, you know, when it was shown on TV over here, they did actually they did a bit of ADR and changed the dialogue, but it just made no sense. So anyway, Hightower hearing this, he's not going to put up with that. And then Harris is like, oh, shit. So Copeland locks himself in this car, but Hightower just picks it up and he says, if you do this, you're out. So anyway, he tips the car over and he says, get your stuff, get gone, you're done. And Harris, quite brave. I mean, you know, he's showing his leadership skills there. Show me your leadership capabilities. And that's it. They all know it's up for him. And he goes, one down, many more to go. So Hooks goes after Hightower. And he says, Copeland, get out the car. Look at that. Yes, sir. Even though he's upside down. So next day, or later on, Blanks has found Copeland, has found his car. And he just keeps going, he says, got to be Mahoney. So they catch him in the canteen. And Chad, he's livid. I mean, you could tell there, you know. I mean, I know they're only character actors, and most of these were comedians anyway. But they really do sell the anger portion here. So they're trying to bait Mahoney into firing. And Barbara, he steps in. It's him with a tray. You could tell it's only one of those dead thin ones. I mean, that's only tinfoil, isn't it? You could tell. Yes, MC. We're not saying run words like that. So he hits him in the face with that tray, and he just boom, is kaplunked. So Blanks lays Fat Boy out, and then obviously they start on each other. So in Harris's office, he says, who started it? Whoever they are, they're out. And he says, oh, it was Barbara. So Mahoney says, hang on a minute, who do you want to hear more, Barbara or me? And they all kind of turn around and agree it's Mahoney, and he's like, bye-bye, you're gone. So Fackler's still out on patrol with the guy he was assigned to, and these guys try and intimidate him. And this cop turns up with a hot dog, gives Fackler an apple. He sniffs it, and he pulls a face, and he throws it out the window, and it's this big guy in the middle, right in the back of the head. Meanwhile, they turn around, and then there's these lads here walking up with a big bag of apples. So they start fighting and brawling, ends up going into a bar. Guy gets knocked out of the bar. Tramp hits a pinball machine, sets that rolling. Traffic's going out of its way to avoid it. People are trying to get out of the way of this pinball machine. And it all starts a bit of chaos. This guy says, here, all this TV. This guy shouts, free tellies. And everybody starts ransacking this hall. Local pool hall. Guy comes in, says, oh, there's a riot taking place. So everybody's like really quick to join in. So Mahoney's having a nice steady walk back to his dorm to get all his stuff. And he's just, everybody's got like a bit of camaraderie. And Mahoney gets to see what he's going to miss out on. He's basically took the blame for Barbara, so he doesn't get booted out. And then Fackler comes back and says, haven't you heard on the radio there's something kicking off? He started it. Inadvertently, but he started it. And George comes in and says, is that what you doing, one of your voices, Jones? He's like, no. So it's all guns are blazing. And these guys all get put onto a bus. And they're going to get taken in to do a bit of crowd control. And Tackleberry's over the moon. He's like, I've been waiting for this. So Mahoney decides to just kit himself up and get involved. And like Harris is like, we won't be shooting anybody. Where are you, Tackleberry? Tackleberry. So he gets on the radio and says, where are we supposed to be going then? And Lassard, because he's a bit of a doink, he actually gives them the wrong location where to be. So they all notice things are a bit quiet. So all these police academy buses turn up and they start dropping them all off. And they start getting deployed. You go a block up, you go a block across, and you go a block down. And they all run off and get themselves in positions. Look at that Tackleberry. He's just looking forward to getting his gun out. And he shouts over to Fackler. And Fackler's like ho-hum about it. And he's like eyeing that suit up. You never know. He might be wearing that a little bit later on. So the real cops turn up and say, hang on a minute, why are you here? You should be 3 blocks away. He says the riot's right behind us. We're getting out of here. So Jorge, he's trying to chat up this lass here, carrying a TV bag for her. And it turns around and notices a riot mob there. Gives her a telly, starts doing a runner for it. More of this, I don't know whether this is intentional or it was just a byproduct of the good vibe on the set. So, these characters, I've never seen him in anything else since, and I don't know if he has been in anything. Let me just have a quick look on IMDb. Andrew Rubin. So let's see what he's been in. 28 things. Last time he was in anything was 1998. But just having he was in Hardcastle and McCormick. What else? Serpico. Anything else? Jeffersons. Shazam. Streets of San Francisco. Cannon. Ironside. Not a great deal to speak of. I don't know if he's still around or not, but he's not been active since 1998. So anyway, he starts doing a bit of a runner, and they all get cornered, and they keep having to double back, and they're trying to get away from this riotous mob. There's not many of them there really, but I suppose they would have just got extras. This is like Toronto. Canadians are quite laid back. Gav Blackburn says, remember when TVs were worth stealing? Yeah, Gav, do you remember when TVs weighed about half a ton? Gav says, he must have been the comic relief in Serpico. Yeah, he must have done. So Harris is just plodding along. And then Lassard turns up. Oh, nice to see you, boys. Oh, sorry, I did a voice. Sorry, it was cringe. Do apologise. So they all wind the windows up, and it's like, well, what's going off? Look, there's all these guys. Look, they come in and they get surrounded. So Jones is going to do one of his little tricks here. Lassard tries to warn them off, says, if you don't disperse, me and my men will have to arrest you. Does absolutely nothing. So he does his machine gun noises. Everybody does one. So he takes off, and Hightower's back at his old job being a florist. Flowers and shit, as you do. Lassard crashes into this corner. These lads all do one. They're all getting chased. Meanwhile, Blanks and Copeland are like, do you want this? Do you want this? They're trying to antagonize these guys, thinking they're safe behind a chain link fence. And then there's a bit missing. And this guy who plays the token thug, he's on IMDb as main bad guy. This is Doug Lennox. He takes the guns off these guys. But he just looks like a atypical druggy bad guy, doesn't he? He's doing a lot of sniffing and snorting, so maybe he likes to powder his nose. So he takes the guns off these two, and then they show what complete cowards they are. So he's only got 12 bullets there. and Hightower's just walking through these streets. Meanwhile, Copeland and Blanks end up going through this door. And then we get another round of... There we go. They'll be walking like John Wayne tomorrow, the pair of them. Barbara's like, oh, I need help, I'm being chased by a mob. And Harris says, calm down, Barbara, where are you? He says, I'm just passing you now, sir. He comes out the end of this alley, and he gets surrounded by a mob. That guy at the back there looks like Louis Theroux. I wouldn't be scared of him at all. 6'4" in a compact. And and another guy there, look, in the shades. He kind of looks like a slim version of Dennis Taylor. And then the guy behind him looks like Crease. What's going off here? It's like Canadian Extras Are Us or something. Barbara runs into that group of lads who've been bullying him all the way through. And they try and intimidate him, but all this police training's worked out for him because he takes these guys down, no problem. And he says, get all that furniture back in that building right now. And it's like, but it's our furniture. It's like, oh, all right, fair enough. And he walks off, and Barbara kind of realizes he's not the wimpy pushover he once were. You get to see how these characters develop, and they grow from the experience. Hello to Brian in the chat, producer Brian. Hello. Excuse me. So Callahan gets on the radio. Look at Fackler in the background. He's now wearing that suit he was eyeing up in that shop. Shame he's wearing Peter Davison's hat from Doctor Who. So Kim Cattrall and Hooks are talking away. Next thing, that radio gets blown to smithereens, and Thompson, she gets stuck behind a box. She daren't move, and this guy's just taking pot shots, but he's got Harris. Wouldn't it be funny if his name was Keith Harris? So Thompson's pinned down. So Mahoney's got her best interests at heart. And George says, shall we just take a shot? It's only Harris. And like Lassard mulls it over for a second. He says, no, better not. Just in case. So Thompson's pinned down. And Mahoney's going to be a bit heroic here. So he tries to distract him a little bit. And he's running and he's getting shot at left, right, and centre. This guy didn't have that much ammunition. He's already done about 3 or 4 shots. Harris is completely helpless, so Lassard sticks his hat out. No worries, not got shot at. Thompson, she's still pinned down. So Mahoney climbs up onto this building. He's going to try and take this guy out. But as he tries to progress around this building, turns around and then finds out that's where that guy was. He's no longer there now. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spent rounds. So that means he's only got 4 rounds left. So he's trying to find Harris, and he's pretty much got this guy at this point. He should have said, look, drop that gun, else I'll blow your head off. But now he's shouting to Thompson. And this guy just raises his gun and puts it against Harris's head. He could have took him out. And then Mahoney surrenders his gun. So he's not actually firing anything. So now this guy's got 10 rounds to shoot at people. And he just starts intimidating Harris and Mahoney. And Hightower's there, and he's like, what do you want? So I want to see you off these pigs. So he's like, yeah, come and have a look. He says, which one should we do first? And as he's gesturing, Harris is looking at Hightower and gesturing with his eyes towards Mahoney, like Mahoney would anyway. But, he's just using it as a bit of a ruse, and he lays this guy out. Slowed that picture down there. You'd almost think that was Mike Tyson on CCTV, wouldn't you? So this guy gets knocked out, and he says, these look like cadet revolvers. Sorry about the noise in the background. There's some really inconsiderate people in this house. And Hooks takes this guy down. She uses her big voice now. Don't move, dirtbag. She said the same line to him in Police Academy 3. So it's a big win for our cadets here. And Tackleberry's just banging his head on this car bonnet. So what's up? He says, there were gunplay and he missed out on it. So, we get to see what's going off at the police academy. Obviously, they're going to throw him a big bash because they're all graduating, but they're going to do a couple of honours, obviously. So Captain Reed goes up to Lieutenant Harris, and Lieutenant Harris is like, yeah, Mahoney, he's a fine lad. Oh, yeah, you've sent me a great lad there. And he just gives him a look of disdain as he walks off. Tackleberry's like, is this woman bothering you? No, it's my mother. And then Callahan's telling George, you'll meet my parents at 7:30 and you'll bring flowers for my mother. Whatever happened to him? Because by the time of 2, actually 3, she gets involved with that Japanese character. And Odd Lizard's, you man, what are you doing there? Sorry, I did a voice, and I don't want to cringe folk out. And it's Mahoney, and it's Thompson who's tashing on with her, and he's like, oh, Mahoney, oh, carry on. Obviously, he knows the joke between them. And Kim Cattrall, she just looks gorgeous here, doesn't she? Ooh, lovely. She's a Scouser. Not bad for a Scouser, to be fair. So, Lizard's like, oh yeah, we're going to give out a couple of awards. We've had a fantastic class. Leslie Easterbrook, I think she's stunning in these movies. So he calls up Hightower and Mahoney, and they get like a medal because, they've obviously done right by getting Lieutenant Harris, out of that sticky situation. And he says you'll be expected to make a few words. Harris is just not impressed. So Hightower goes up and just says thanks. And Mahoney gets his shot, and he's just like, oh, I want to thank you, Commandant Lizard, Chief Hearst, Madam Mayor, the President, the Pope, the King of Norway. And he pulls out a list, and as he does, oh, look, it's the hooker. How did Lizard know? So anyway, just as he's about to start reading, you hear his zip come down. And this is the only fourth wall break you get from Mahoney. And it's just perfectly timed. He's got comedy chops, this lad. And he just like, Lizard's watching him, and he turns around, and it's like, yeah, gotcha. Cracking way to end a film. Absolutely top notch. I love this film. Interestingly enough, Steve Guttenberg did well out of these movies, but he didn't want to get typecast. So after 4, he said, well, I'm going to bow out now. And then that guy who's Commandant Lizard's nephew or something takes over. He was the guy who was in that episode of Next Gen where he was 1/4 Beta Z, and he was doing the bidding for the Barzan wormhole. Yeah, that guy. He ends up taking over Mahoney's place. I mean, he went on to, like I said, Cocoon and 3 Men and a Little Lady and all those kind of movies. And he kind of sadly fizzled out a little bit after that. But a few years back, he did a film with several cast members of Police Academy, Marion Ramsey, Michael Winslow. And it's kind of a TV play on Sharknado. Is it Larvantula? Like fire-breathing tarantulas out of a volcano. And they even have a spoof bit, and there's a guy from Sharknado in it. It says, oh, I can't help you. He says, I've got a shark problem. I've tried to find that film everywhere. I can't find it. So if anybody knows where I can get a copy of Larvantula, if that's how you pronounce it, I would be very grateful. Cracking film. And all this month, once we got that Star Trek 5 issue out of the way, right, we're going to do comedy movies for the rest of the month. Next week, it's a cracker. We've got Caddyshack on the cards as well. And Better Off Dead. I'm not quite sure about Better Off Dead. A couple of people have said to me, we've got suggestions for better films. So, if you're not too up on that one, we might change it at the last minute. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Hopefully, did I tell you why Z3PO couldn't be here tonight? He was supposed to be on the panel, but he failed his MOT. So he's been confiscated till he's had some welding done on his arsehole. So hopefully he'll be back in shape by Thursday. Oh no, I haven't seen that film. Dutch Gradient says do Clue, so I'm not particularly familiar with it. Anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. It's only a short one. 700 slides in just over an hour. That's the way to do it. Thursday, you can join me and Z for the final episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I am so looking forward to it. I am just defeated. It's been so demoralizing. Oh, MC says Larvantula is on DVD on Amazon. Is it Region 2 though, or is it Region 1? Because my DVD player, I can't like, you know, make it region 3. It's homework then. No, I don't know. So yeah, Z will be back on Thursday with me doing Star Trek. Hopefully between now and then, lots of people will try and bait me about some of the comments I've been making over Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed tonight's show. There's plenty of other videos in the library now. You might want to find something that tickles your fancy. Appreciate it if you could give us a sub, give us a like, hit that notification button. Also, if you're over on Rumble, give us a follow there. That'd be kind of cool as well. And I will catch you on Thursday. And I will see you next week for an absolute belting film. Do you want to know what it is? Next week on Just Great Movies, we continue the comedy vibe with the VHS cult comedy classic. It's 80s American college humor par excellence. 1987's Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise.